before stealing you.
Oh, you mean that thing you just found out about? Like, you're not believing in it?
I'm going to overhaul the brake caliper, not because there's any indication there's anything wrong, but because the bike it's clearly been stuck in a field or something for a long time. So the front brake is a critical component of the bike. So it'd be stupid not to check it out and overhaul it. So these are just stuck on, well, not stuck on, but they're just unscrewing through the O-rings. There you go. Right, and here's the piston here. Now to get the piston out, right, there's various ways. You can just go at it and go crazy. You could weld something on it and pull it out if you wanted to. But I found the easiest way is to just put a grease gun on here and just pump the grease gun and that'll pop it out. The other thing as well I've done, especially with relatively newer bikes, is just hook it back up to the braking system and then just do the levers and that'll pump it out as well. So this is the seal here, and it works because hydraulic pressure gets behind it and forces it onto the piston. So this must always be changed. Okay, so this is the actual, that's the hydraulic pressure end, and this is the end with the boot fitted. And you can see these corrosion here, so it's actually lifted the chroming. It's probably a chrome coating just for hardness, and it's that rips the seal up and causes a leakage. Okay, so this is scrap. I mean, you could try re-chroming it, if they were very rare, but you would measure this distance first, right, and make sure it was reground. So don't just send it off for chroming and get it back again and try and fit it. You must measure it first and get it reground. You can see all this stuff, hopefully you can, that's coming out from the seal groove, right? While that's in there, what it's doing is it's preventing the hydraulic oil from getting behind the rubber seal, because the seal is it's just like on a piston ring. The seal's formed by the internal pressure pushing the ring onto the piston, right? Or in the case of an engine cylinder, it's the pressure forcing the ring onto the liner wall. Okay, and that's why ring groove clearances are really important, and ring groove shape as well, because you get like a conical shape on. Okay, so I'm just going to clean all this up, right, degrease it, and then I'm going to paint it, and then I'll be ready to go back, reassemble. So I'm going to give it a quick blast in the ultrasonic bath. This is purely to remove any lacquer that may have formed on the running surfaces. I won't do it too much because I don't want to damage the running surfaces overdoing it, so this is good. So the original thickness of this one was 12.5 and it's now about 11.6, and this one is 10 and it's now about 8.9, something like that. The red mark shows when it's completely worn out, so there's plenty of material left, and I'm not going to change them because I don't really see the point. One thing I would say though is I did have a look to see how much they are, and they range from around about £20 to around about 8. Now the £8 ones is just a solid disc of brake material. Just don't buy them, because there's every possibility that with the uneven pressure of the piston acting on the back and no a metal piece to spread that loading out, that they'll just break up in service. Really dangerous. Some of the stuff you see on eBay, you just really wonder why that there is or should be some form of control on what is allowed to be sold, because they are just not safe. But as I say, these appear to be fine. I'm not going to do anything. So that's one of them, one half. It's okay. Yeah, for the brush painted these, and I think they're okay. Yeah, I mean I could do with a new label for that obviously, but whether I can get one I don't know. Otherwise it'll just get left on. But they're okay, yeah. And as the paint's still just a little bit soft. Another thing I'll just show you just briefly. So that there, if you can see, is a fine thread. Right. Now, I won't be using a thread lock on that for two reasons. The main one being that it's not in a high vibration area, so you're not expecting it to need it. But the other reason is that being a fine thread, the fine thread in itself is good for preventing the thing, you know, undoing itself. The coarser the thread, the more likely it is to come undone, and thereby it causes you a problem, and that's why you need to put thread lock on those type of things. Within the engine as well, even with fine threads, to be honest, it's such a high vibration area, and I always use thread lock in the engine itself. But for this one I probably won't use it. I'll make a decision when I assemble it, but it's extremely unlikely I'll use it. I don't see the point, and it just makes it more difficult when you come to take it apart with no real benefit. I'll have a look at the mounting bolts. Is that them there? Some mounting bolts. So you can see the mounting, you might be able to see. Right, the mounting bolts are a coarser thread. Can you see that? Right, they're a coarser thread, so it's more likely a metric thread. This one's more likely a metric fine. And because of that, I will definitely be using thread lock on that one, 100%. One other thing. So this one here is an M12. This one is a 1/2 inch BSW, a Whitworth thread, and I don't know if how well you can see that, but the BSW has a much coarser thread on it than the metric. And when I first started at sea, it was very much still a mix mash of threads, but we would always tend to go for the BSW, and the reason for that is because of the coarse thread and the coarse pitch. It was so much easier to take them apart and put them back together again. Obviously in high vibration areas it's a bit of an issue, but you just use secondary retention then. But in terms of ease of use, much easier to use the BSW, and much nicer thread. You have to watch. There's been some really bad accidents actually, where a metric nut has been put on a BSW thread. Can't remember which size it is. I can't remember. There's one where they are very close together. The problem's the pitch angle, and what happens is, although it will run up the thread, seems to be okay. In reality, it's not actually holding. It doesn't have the friction, and it releases, right? Or even I've known of them actually pulling through, and been some really bad accidents because of that. Yeah, one that I remember was it was actually an eye bolt, and an eye bolt was screwed through a beam, and then a metric nut was put on it. And it was put under load, and the nut failed, and we ended up with quite a serious drop load. Anyway, just a little bit about bolts. You see, one of the O-rings has either been left in there or it was never fitted. It's interesting, isn't it? Some people, it's a new seal. Some people, they pack the dust shield with a little bit of grease, and try and avoid that if you can. The grease is, as you know, it's an oil and a soap base. When after the period of time the oil leaches out, and you're just left with the soap base, and that's what that hard sticky substance is. So it can actually make things worse. It's also, I think, some of them at least are hygroscopic, so that they absorb moisture, and so they're promoting corrosion. If you're going to do it, I'd use silicone grease, okay? So, piston. Right, here's the boots. See how many O-rings we've got? Should be 4, I think. How do you think that goes? If you are struggling a little bit with this, getting them on, then just put them in a little bit of warm water. Yeah, totally different sizes. Ooh. Right, so the O-ring has got to fill the groove to about 90%. They do look small, but what they can't do obviously is they've got to go in. So let's just see if it'll go in. Nope, they do not go in. So the O-ring in the kit appears to be wrong. It's a bit of an issue, isn't it? What are we going to do about that? See, one goes in nicely. This one, no way that's going in, not in a million years. So I need new O-rings. Let's see what I've got. What do you reckon? Well, that's no good, is it? Keep flicking them away. Well, that looks awfully close. Oh, I'm calling that a winner. That was lucky. It's got a little bit more tension than the other one, but I guess you kind of expect that with a bit of wear on the other one. I mean, these are really, remember, this has probably not been overhauled for a long time. I mean, the bike was just a big massive rust. I've done bikes in lesser condition. I mean, I've actually done a bike which was just a frame and a crankcase. But when I looked at this, I'll be honest, I wouldn't normally have done this bike. I wouldn't have bought it, but I've basically given it. Looks a bit corroded, doesn't it? It's got a yellow paint on it, which I presumably, I don't know why that's on it, I'll be honest with you. Don't know whether it's because when you tighten it they just dab it to say yeah that's tight. Don't know. Go see if I've got a spare. So this seal fitted in here. Which way around it went? Good if I can. That little thing there, is that there, which I'm not going to change because I don't really see the point. It's just going to cause more trouble now. Right, I need to go and check which way round this goes, obviously. As far as I can tell, it goes this way around. I guess we'll find out when we put it together, eh? Yeah, I'm just going to clean this out a bit better. There's still a bit of grease left in those ports, and you don't really want to leave them in. The reason for that is the hydraulic oil has dispersants and cleaning agents in it, and what you'll do is you'll just basically use all those up, just cleaning a bit of crap that you couldn't be bothered to clean yourself. So let's get that clean. Right, I think that'll do. And let's get the seal in. Right, where's my oil can? Anybody see it? Ah. So we're not expecting this to be particularly difficult to put in. They are to get out because you've still got pressure pushing at the back of the seal, but to get it in, it shouldn't actually be that difficult. If it is really difficult, if you're having to jack it in or something, then something else has gone wrong. What you can do though, obviously, is get it out of square. That is just about perfect. Right. Do you know what I should have done? I should have got part of the ceiling. Right, I can't really do this like this. I'll have to go and sit down to do it, so you'll miss this bit. But all I'm going to do is just easily lip the seal into the groove. Patiently, don't rush it. Okay, so that's it on. So the next thing I need to do is to get these boots on. Again, I'm going to have to go off camera because I think I'm going to have to sit down to do this. I can't do this stuff standing up anymore. Right, hang on a minute. I can just see some, and it's not from me, but it looks like it's paint in the balls there. Oh, it's not stopping them anyway. Wow. Did change that one, didn't I? I've done something stupid like put the same one back again. I see a bloody finger. No. Something's not right there, isn't he? Right, let's get this hole cleaned up a bit better, because there's no way it should be that tight possible. What an absolutely stupid design. I really don't understand this design of caliper. It just seems really silly. I can't see the benefit of it. Somebody clever than me could probably explain it. So this is basically it. It's finished now. All I've got to do is torque these two bolts, fit a new bleed nipple there. I'll have to just the thread, I'll just check the threads before I run that in. I can just flush it out if there's any problems, but that's it. You can see that a bit better than when it started. Done.